चिन्मयं व्यापि यत्सर्वं त्रैलोक्यं सचराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। वक्रतुण्डमहाकाय सूर्यकोटिसमप्रभा निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। भवानी शङ्करौ वन्दे श्रद्धा विश्वासरूपिणौ याभ्यां विना न पश्यन्ति सिद्धास्कान्तस्थमीश्वरम्। मंत्राय नमः परमतन्त्राय नमः मंत्राय नमः मंत्राय नमः परममन्त्राय नमः परमतन्त्राय नमः सिद्धाय नमः सिद्धाय नमः सिद्ध संकल्पाय नमः सिद्ध संकल्पाय नमः शुचये नमः शुचये नमः शुचि स्वरूपाय नमः शुचि स्वरूपाय नमः नादाय नमः नादाय नमः प्रणव नादाय नमः प्रणव नादाय नमः शुचये नमः शुचिस्वरूपाय नमः नादाय नमः प्रणव नादाय नमः प्रणव नादाय नमः पतये नमः विश्वव्याप्त प्रभवे नमः विष्णवे नमः विष्णवे नमः विश्वव्याप्त प्रभवे नमः विश्वव्याप्त प्रभवे नमः पतये नमः पतये नमः भूत सकल पतये नमः भूत सकल पतये नमः मंत्राय नमः परम मंत्राय नमः परम तंत्राय नमः परम यंत्राय नमः मंत्राय नमः परम मंत्राय नमः मंत्राय नमः मंत्राय सच्चिदानंद रूपाय कृष्णाय क्लिष्टकारिणे नमो वेदांत वेद्याय गुरवे बुद्धिसाक्षिणे गुरवे बुद्धिसाक्षिणे कृष्णद्वैपायनं व्यासं सर्वलोकहितैषिणम् वेदाब्जभास्करं वन्दे समाधिनिलयं मुनिम् समाधिनिलयं मुनिम् Just as the one fire which is in its own state at the elemental level, the fire element, the one fire, after having entered into the world, becomes or assumes different forms according to whatever it enters. Even in our regular experience also, we see that the fire assumes different forms according to the objects that it enters. Whatever object it enters or whatever it enters. So we may tend to think by looking at our experience that the fire has taken many forms, which is of course is our experience, and it is true according to our perception. But actually the fire is one. It may take different forms, assume different forms. Similarly, the one self, when it enters into the world, it may assume different forms. But at the same time, just as the fire remains without the forms, the self also remains without these forms. Just as the air, after having entered the world, it assumes the forms, various forms, according to whatever it enters. Air also is like that. If we, in our experiences also, pump the air into something, it takes that form, whatever it enters. Similarly, the one air element, when it enters into this world, it assumes various forms. But at the same time, it is without all these forms. Similarly, the self also, it may assume forms and at the same time, it is without the forms. Many forms, it can assume any number of forms or countless number of forms. But in itself, it is without any one of these forms. Similarly, the sun, which is the eye of the world, is not affected by the various things that it perceives or sees or it enters. Our eyes perceive so many things in the sunlight, and behind our eye also sunset grace will be there in the form of the sight. We may perceive so many things, the sun may illumine so many things, it may seem to have entered so many things. The sun falls upon so many things, it enters so many things. We can feel the presence of the sun when we are in the sun, or when we touch the objects that are in the sun for a certain period of time. We can feel the heat, we can feel that energy. But at the same time, it is without all these forms. The sun is without all these forms, which it illumines or which it has entered or which it has touched. But it is not touched by any one of these things. Similarly, the self in us also, it may illumine so many things that are there inside us and outside us, but it is not touched by any one of these things. The same Mahavishnu, after entering into this world, assumes different forms, but at the same time, in himself he is without forms, and he is not touched by these forms, not bound by these forms. These forms appear in him, but he is not limited by these forms or influenced by these forms. So, the one pure self, the Mahavishnu, who entered into us as the inner self, as the divine presence, is there illumining all the internal things and helping us in illumining all the external things. Meaning only because of that we come to know about the external things. He is untouched by all these things. And only those people who recognize the presence of Mahavishnu as the inner illumining principle or illuminator and get tuned to that Mahavishnu inside us, they will be able experience the real peace and the real joy, and not anyone else. So Mahavishnu is connected with forms, is with the forms, and at the same time without forms. A similar point is explained in the name which we are going to take up now. Asankheyo Prameyatma Visishta Sishta Krut Suchihi Siddhartha Siddha Sankalpaha Siddhida Siddhi Sadhana Asankhyeyaha, the unaccountable. Yasmin Sankhyanam Rupa Vedadihi Na Vidyate Sa Asankhyeyaha. There are so many forms with which he is connected. They are unaccountable. And to him, no number, no name, no form are applicable. All forms appear in him. But to him, no number, no name, no form are applicable. Meaning, one who has numberless names and forms. When there are numberless names and forms, which one form we can attribute to him? All are his, and he is without any one of them. All are in himself, and he himself in his pristine, glorious level is beyond all these forms. That is why it is not possible to count his forms or to take an account of these forms. To count his names or to take an account of his names. These names here are only few selected names of the infinite number of names he has. Infinite number of forms he has. That is why, looking at the original large picture of the Virata Rupa, here it is said that he is Asankheyaha, unaccountable. Whatever belongs to us can be accountable. Because whatever it is limited only. Whether the dimensions that are connected with our physical structure or various other things that we have piled up as our possessions or property or as our wealth, whether made known or kept unknown, in whichever form it is, whether it is veiled or unveiled by CBI or various other people, which we see day to day, many things are unveiled by these people. So whatever it is, it might be more, it might be, oh, so much is there, but again it is countable only, accountable only. They count and how can we make this much? It is not possible. He has made 100 times more than what he can make normally. Whatever it is, count. It is still countable. But when it is connected with Bhagavan, none of the things that belong to him are countable. No names, no forms. He has so many of them. We have only one form, so we can say all the forms are his. So that is what is said here. Aprameya Atma, immeasurable self. Aprameya Atma Swarupam Asyati Aprameya Atma. In its own Swarupa, it is immeasurable. We cannot measure it. So Atman, the pure self, cannot be apprehended by the intellect through any one of the known sources of knowledge. That is why also he is called as Aprameya. known sources of our knowledge. They can explain or make us understand about the limited things which have got limitations. But an unlimited thing, infinite thing, and the most importantly, subject of our perception can never be measurable. It cannot be measured. It is beyond all measurements. That is why the strength of any bhakta who measures himself with his devotion to God. His measurement is his devotion to God. When the individual's measurement is ego, property, possessions, body, they are limited. When the individual's measurement is devotion to God, I measure myself as a devotee of God. Measurement is only devotion, no other qualification. And that devotion is total. And that devotion towards the Lord becomes so total that his capacity, his power of the devotee also becomes immeasurable. It cannot be measured. That is why Hanumanji's tail also is immeasurable actually. It looks measurable. He can extend it to any extent, to any length. When asked, how can you do that? He said, this is my devotion for Sri Rama in the form of the tail, that's all. It is going on, endless, infinite devotion goes on. And whatever is there in that, that power is Rama's power only. That is all it is. So it is a symbolic representation of his infinite devotion, endless devotion, total devotion. So when that endless total devotion to Bhagavan is there, Bhagavan's Shakti will be there, Bhagavan's grace will be there. That is why it was immeasurable. So, if we can express our devotion in this manner, then that will give us infinite grace of the Lord by which we can get into a limitless state, crossing over all limitations. Next one, Visishtaha, transcendental. Atisede sarvam ato Visishtaha. As he transcends all, Bhagavan transcends all. Vishwataha paramam nityam, in the Taittiriya Aranyakam it is said. He is the supreme and eternal, one who transcends everything. He surpasses all the things that are visible. He transcends everything. That is why he is transcendental. So whenever we meditate upon the transcendental, we also experience something of the transcendental. When we connect our mind and tune our mind to the transcendental, we also come to feel that which is transcendental. Beyond these worldly experiences, beyond these worldly pleasures and joys and thrills, we come to experience the divine thrill which belongs to the transcendental world, transcendental level. Because we connect with Him, they also are made available to us even when we are in this world existing as human beings. But experiences can be transcendental. Human being can exist in the world, the experiences can be transcendental. So in order to give us that transcendental experiences, He Himself became that transcendental Visishtaha. Then Sishtakrita. Sishtam Shasanam Karvati iti. He commands. He is the one who commands everything in this universe. Because of His command, everything follows what respectively they should do. Everything follows. His order, His command. And Sishtan Karoti Palayati Itiva. Meaning, He is the one who protects the virtuous people, the righteous people, the sincere people, the honest people, Krita means the protection. Sishta Krita. Sishta, the right people, the pure people, the pious people, the noble people, the pure-hearted people. He will protect them. That is why Sishta Krita. That is his assurance that he is going to protect. And he will certainly protect the people who follow the values that he has given to all of us. And he commands all the forces in nature, all other beings that are taking care of the various departments in the creation, and he will see to it that he also protect the people who are good-hearted. So that is a very nice assurance. It is also said Shishtakrita means one who is the lawmaker. He alone is the lawmaker. And the law governs the universe. He sees to it that the law governs the universe. He makes the law and sees to it that it governs the universe. But there are various occasions where there are lawmakers, but they cannot have the capacity to see to it that it governs the world. And then there are so many manipulations that enter, and then they break the law, so on and so forth. But here he is not like that. The creation follows the law that he has created, because he sees to it that everybody follows. Next name, Suchihi, meaning stainless. Anjanam Maya Tatkaryam cha Tat Rahito Niranjana Suchihi. The Maya and its karyas, its effects importantly being mind, intellect, memory, ego, and the contents, and the senses, and the world of objects, all of them. Maya and its effects, all of them cannot affect him. He is unaffected by all of them. Tad rahito niranjana suchihi. He is without all of them, and he is unaffected by them. They may appear in him, but he is without all of them, and they cannot affect him. He is pure. Suchihi means stainless, because he is unaffected by Maya. Impurities doesn't affect him. So if we place our mind upon him, our mental impurities also do not affect us. They might be there, but they don't affect us. When they are there and when they don't affect us, slowly, because we are not involved with them, we are not energizing or strengthening them, they will slowly disappear from our mind. And another meaning is, he makes the devotees shine, because stainless thing shines, immaculate thing shines. So he makes the devotees shine according to their devotion. Whatever devotion they have, he makes the devotees shine according to their devotion, and he also sees to it that they are not deprived of the devotion that they have. People sometimes may become emotional, may become affectionate, may express their love, but after some time they may not express in the same manner, and after some more time they may express something which is opposite also. But here he is not like that. He will see to it that the people are not deprived of their devotion, and he will see to it that the devotees shine because of their devotion. And one more thing also is said here. If there is anything other than himself, then the impurity touches him. There is nothing other than himself. He alone is. He alone exists. All other are appearances in him because of his own yoga mind. So he alone exists actually. So that is why, since he alone exists, there is no impurity, there is no mala. So he is stainless, he is Suchihi. If anything which is original in itself is mixed with something else, that is called as impurity. But here he alone is, that is why he is pure. And it is also an indication that if we remain alone with Bhagavan and then we are there with Bhagavan, in one Bhagavan and we are there with Bhagavan. In that also, because Bhagavan alone is the Supreme Self, even though we are with him, it is treated to be oneness and we are only one with Him. So whenever we are with Him like that, our mind also becomes stainless. The best way to make our mind pure and without impurities or cleanse the mind from all impurities is to be with that stainless one, to be with that purest Bhagavan. So just to be with that, to place our mind in Him, we automatically become pure. We need not search for other sources of purity, other methods or means of purity. This is the best way we can remain in purity. By just placing our mind in Him. Whatever may be our impurity level, doesn't matter. Just to place our mind in Him, we become pure. That is all we need to do. Then, Siddhartha, he whose objects are fulfilled. All his objects are fulfilled. He obtains whatever he desires. That is how he started the creation. He alone started everything that is there in this universe. So, whatever he wished, he obtained that. Whatever he desires, he gained that. It also says, one who has gained all that has to be gained. He is the one who has gained all that has to be gained. And achieved all that has to be achieved. There is nothing more to be gained, even when he takes avtara also. It is not for gaining anything, it is for giving something. It is not for achieving something, it is making people achieve something. He comes. He has gained all that has to be gained, he has achieved all that has to be achieved. Meaning, he has no desire for anything. Even his devotees who become devoted to him, they also become like that. They also, because by his grace, he makes them gain all that has to be gained, achieve all that has to be achieved, so they become fulfilled. Nothing more remains to be gained. So much of fulfillment he gives, because he will be making them capable of attaining everything. Next one, Siddha Sankalpaha, of accomplished resolutions. His resolutions are full of accomplishment. The moment a resolution is there in the mind, it is accomplished. We also are trained by many people to take a strong resolve in our mind at the intellectual level, so that the thoughts also follow that direction and the actions in the body also follow that direction given by the thoughts, and then we can achieve things in the world outside. So strong resolve, firm resolve, and we take it and then we achieve things. There is a time element involved, but in him, the moment the resolve appears, it is achieved. That is why he is Siddha Sankalpaha. So that is why we ask for his blessings. We are taking up some task, we say, please you bless me. Meaning what? We ask Bhagavan to bless. Once it goes into his mind, and then it becomes Siddha Sankalpa. And great Mahatmas also are like that. There are many people who used to go to Gurudev also and then say, we have taken up this, please bless, please bless. All that he used to say that, okay, may it be so, may it be successful. And then 100% afterward they have seen Mukti Pradata. Naturally Mukti Pradata, but Mukti Pradata also. All those ventures have become great success. Meaning what? Those great people who are totally devoted to him, and he himself, when he comes down in avatar, he is like that only. He is of accomplished resolutions. All that needs to happen is it has to be taken into their notice, rest all happens. Then Siddhidaha, the bestower of fruits, he gives all results to us. How? All the performers of actions are made to achieve their results, the fruits of their actions, according to their actions. Whatever are our actions, he will give us results according to our actions. He is the power that brings about the reward for all actions. No action goes in vain. The result will be there. Whether it happens immediately or after some but He will see to it. But He is the power. Sometimes what happens when you perform some action, people don't take notice of it. People don't recognize it. People don't appreciate it. People don't value it. In turn, people devalue it, criticize it. Then people lose heart. They feel sad. They feel lost. But here it is said, don't feel sad. Don't feel lost. All of your actions are under the direct power and care of Bhagavan Himself. He will see to it that you will get the results of your actions. If temporarily people around you are not noticing, don't feel sad about it. He will make it possible. He will definitely see to it that you get. The reward will come to you. So that is an assurance from Bhagavan Himself in this name. Because He is that power with which, He is that power that bestows fruits or results to all individuals according to their actions. If immediate people are not valuing us also, we did not feel lost wherever we are, because Bhagavan is there to take notice of it. That should fill our heart. Bhagavan knows it. Bhagavan takes care of it. That is what we have to do when we do any tyaga, any sacrificial act also, any great punya karyakram also. We need to know only one thing. The God, He is all pervasive, He knows it. That is all. If He knows it, that is enough. If others doesn't know it, doesn't matter. There is no need. He knows it. And He is the one who gives the fruits. He takes care. He will definitely see to it that this person who has sacrificed the things will get good progress and good grace of Bhagavan. So that is the most important thing. One of our Swamis also says, whenever you give something also, there is no need for any publicity. There is no need for any big things that are to be publicized. If you publicize, the power of donation is gone. Because God knows it, that is enough. God knows that is enough. And then it will have immense power and the returns will come to you 1,000-fold. That's what one of our acharyas says, senior acharyas. Next one, Siddhi Sadhana. He is the promoter of achievements. Siddhe sadhakatvat Siddhi Sadhana. He promotes. If anybody trying to achieve something, he makes that happen. He promotes that achievements. He is the promoter of achievements. That is why people try to look up to Him and take His blessings. Even at the time of performance of action, He makes His devotees feel happiness. That is the greatest thing that Bhagavan can make. Not after the action is completed, but the glory of Bhagavan is while attempting to achieve something, while performing the action, He will make His devotees experience the happiness. And once that happens, the action which is done in the experience of happiness will be an excellent action. The result naturally will be glorious. But who can make it happen? He alone can. That is why there are people who say, I am not finding interest in this action, I am not having that enthusiasm to do this action, somehow I started this, but I have lost any application of my mind, I am not able to concentrate. The best thing is trust Bhagavan and sincerely invoke Him. Oh Bhagavan, who is the ruler of my mind, who is the power behind my achievements, who can make people achieve things, please make my mind totally involved enthusiastically with the action that it is taking up. If this sincere prayer is there, He gives the enthusiasm, He gives that energy, and He makes us feel happy while doing the action. Meaning, there will be no dragging actions in our life. There will be no boredom that will be there in our life. Once we are devoted to Him, it is His responsibility to make every action an opportunity for us to experience happiness. Irrespective of its result. Irrespective, because we are doing it as an offering unto God. We are doing it as a surrender unto God. Naturally, it will have its own return of happiness while performing the action. We need not wait for the result. We need not look for the result. This is an excellence in performing the action. He alone makes us gain that. So that is the Siddhi Sadhana. Continuing further, we will move on to the next sloka number 28 in the normal sequence and 41 in the sequence connected with Vrusha hi vrushabho Vishnu. Vrushaparva vrushodaraha. Vardhano vardhamanascha. Vivikta shruti sagaraha. Vivikta shruti sagaraha. Vrushahi, the revealer of dharma. Who reveals dharma to us? Dharma might be there in the Dharma Shastras, but he has to bless us so that it is revealed to us. We may have the book in front of us also. Still the truth inside it may not be revealed to us. Word is not the truth. The inner essence is the truth. Inner essence has to be revealed to us, only His grace is necessary. That is why sometimes even scholars miss the essence. Because scholars get lost in the words. And the essence is even much beyond the words. So that is why only He can reveal the dharma. Or another meaning is the performer of the sacrifice yaga called as dharma. Vrushaha dharmaha ahaha. A sacrifice occupying 12 days, of which he is the performer or enjoyer as the devata. In the yajna yagas that are mentioned in the Vedas, there is a sacrifice like this also. And another meaning is, Vrusha means the residual results gathered in the inner personality after each devoted and dedicated activity of offering, selfless offering. When we make a selfless offering, that activity which is of selfless offering, but with dedication and devotion, there is a residual result that accrues to us because of such an activity, and that is Vrisha. So, Vrishahi means one who is the controller of all actions and dispenser of all results. So, every devoted, dedicated, selfless, egoless action that is there, He alone takes care of that action, and He alone takes care of the result of the action. Because of those actions, He will reveal so many hidden things to us. Because of that fruit that accrues to us by performing a devoted, dedicated, selfless action, that becomes a powerful merit in us. And because of that merit, the result will be revelation of hidden things in the Shastras. And when we come to know, naturally, we will be more knowledgeable, and then we can easily take to our spiritual practices and achieve success. He is the one who can take care of all that. Next one, Vrishabha. The Shavarar Vrishabha. Varshatyesha Bhaktebhyaha Kaman iti Vrishabha. The Shavarar of desired objects on his devotees. Whatever objects are desired by the devotees, he showers them. That is why people pray to him. So he showers them. He gives blessings to his devotees who are affected by the scorching heat of this samsara or the worldly life. That way also he is the showerer. He gives a relaxing feeling. Whenever we are scorched by heat, when there is a shower, people feel relaxed. Like that, those people who are scorched by the heat of the samsara, He will shower His cool grace upon all the people, all the beings. That is why also it is called as shower. Objects also, grace also. Next, Vishnu, the Parveda. Vishnu Vikramana. Vishnu is He who pervades the whole universe. We have already seen this name few times. So we are moving on to the next one, and we have already seen that few names get repeated. Vrishabha, having dharma as steps. person can ascend that ladder step by step and finally reach to the infinite level. In order to make the finite being reach the infinite level, he has kept this ladder of dharma. Easily, people can climb it and reach the infinite. Sages say that those who desire to reach the supreme abode have to go up the steps of the ladder of dharma. And who takes us upward? He alone takes us upward. Because he is the ladder and he alone takes us upward. He alone sees to it that we don't fall down also. He will take care, he will protect us. And slowly we will reach him. Meaning he alone is the means to reach him. Other than him, what else can be there as means? He becomes the means also. How kind he must be. Sometimes when people want to reach our home, they are coming from a new place and they don't know how to reach there. So what do? We will give hints. And even after that, if they miss out the route, then we will keep them on call and then keep on guiding them. You turn like this, you go left side, again they will make a mistake, again we will guide. A lot of patience, there are people who have a lot of patience, they keep on guiding till they reach the house. So that means what? We alone make it people who want to reach us by guiding them step by step. Similarly, here Bhagavan makes his devotees reach himself through his ladder of dharma. This way, Bhagavan becomes attainable. Generally, when they have a feeling that it is impossible to attain, he makes it possible here. Ladder is such a thing that we can hold on to it and then go on easily. It connects both levels. So Bhagavan himself becomes the connecting. Next one, Purushotara. He in whom all beings are contained. He is the source of all the beings. Because he alone has manifested all of them, he alone can be the source of all the beings. Next, Vardhana, the nourisher. One who is the nurturer and the nourisher everywhere. All the vitality, all the care, all the strength, all the energy comes from him alone. If we constantly place our mind at his feet in devotion, all that is required will come to us. Even the intelligence, even the skill, even the creative talent, whatever going to be the thing that is required by us, all that will come to us because he alone is the nourisher. He alone makes us grow. He alone makes us flourish. He alone makes us flower. He alone makes us blossom. He alone makes us go from strength to strength. That is why he is Vardhana. Next, Vardhamana. He who expands. Prapancha Rupena Vardhata iti Vardhamana. How he expanded? In the form of the world, he expanded. In the form of the universal self, he expanded. He expands himself. And also there is another hidden meaning here. Gurudev says, he enriches people also and makes them expand. Not only their beliefs, but their richness, their wealth, their peace, their happiness. He makes them also expand in various other aspects. Because people want to expand their empire, expand their property, expand their possession over many things, expand their power, expand their money like that. So he makes them expand. He is the one who enriches people, makes them expand their everything that they want in every respect. Next, Viviktaha, the solitary, meaning even though he pervades the whole cosmos, he still is the one without a second, without getting touched by anything else. He alone is there, meaning he remains unattached in spite of he expanding in everything and in spite of he being present in everything. he remains still unattached. The unattached is said here as the solitary, the alone. If he is with anything else, meaning what? His mind also has accepted the presence of something else, meaning it is influenced by that. Alone means not at all influenced by anything else. That is when people practice this aloneness as a sadhana. Once in a while people want to be alone. Meaning what? Not with any of their burdens, any of their attachments, any of their pressures which they are normally facing. They want to be alone. Only to themselves, only with themselves. Bhagavan also is like that. In spite of he being in everything. That means he is teaching us a lesson how to be alone in spite of being with everyone. We have to maintain that. Otherwise, all the world will influence our mind and we will lose our freedom and we will get attached and entangled and bound by it. One who is alone in the midst of all the things, he is unattached. Next one. Shruti Sagaraha, the ocean of scriptural text. He is the Shruti Sagaraha. He is the ocean of scriptural text. All scriptures came from him. Of course, through various rishis, but when they contemplated upon him, he revealed them to all these rishis. So the Shrutis rest in him. And the Shrutis reveal him because he rests in them, both ways. Shrutis rest in him because from him only they came. And what the Shrutis have, only him. So he rests in the Shrutis. This is like a person, a lover and beloved saying, I am in you, you are in me. Like that. So, Shrutis rest in him and he rests in Shrutis. Meaning what? Totally we need to rely upon Bhagavan for whatever knowledge about his presence we would like to acquire, only he can make it revealed. There was one person who was talking to his friend. And he said, I have decided to divorce my wife. The friend asked, what happened? She is such a nice woman and she takes care of all things and all that. Why? Why did you decide like that? Because I am her husband and she prays to God to give her the child. He can't understand that God is the giver of everything. And God not only gives everything, but also makes us experience it and enjoy it. Giving is fine, but there are many people who give things to us, but we might not be in the mood to experience it, in proper situation to enjoy it, and we might not value it, we might not understand the importance of it, we might just put it aside and totally forget to take notice of it also. Even with notice also, we might not have capacity to experience or enjoy it also. So he makes us experience it, enjoy it also. He makes us become conscious of things, remember things. There was one person who said, the best way to remember wife's birthday is to forget it once. Because one gains enough experience when one forgets, so afterwards the person will never forget. Because person becomes very cautious not to forget, unnecessarily hurt the other person, and again face the music. So there will be caution to remember. But cautiousness to remember will be there always. He makes people become enthusiastic in doing what they are doing so that they experience and enjoy what they are experiencing. Whatever they deserve, he gives them but also makes them experience. I have heard that during one cricket match, the bowler was bowling the ball and he was not bowling properly. It was erratic. One goes this side, another goes that side, another goes above, and all that. And The bowling side team would not take too many chances because it is a limited over game. With a test match, they can keep on bowling like that. No problem. But the limited over game, that also 2020 is very difficult. So then what happened? The captain of the bowling side went and whispered something in the ear of the bowler. Suddenly, everything changed. He bowled the opposition out. And then the captain of the batting side team who lost the match came to this captain and said, "What did you whisper in his ear? What did you tell him? If you tell me, maybe I will also use this sometimes." And that captain of the bowling side said, "All that I told you is to consider the wickets as his girlfriend's other admirers and boyfriends." The moment he decided like that, every ball went to the wicket zone. That is a different way of motivating people or whatever it is. But here Bhagavan harmonically gives the right clearance in the mind, makes the mind and intellect know the true things that are there in this universe in the form of powers, in the form of practices, in the form of the law that is there, all that he reveals, the meanings and the main important things, and gives the enthusiasm and makes the people achieve or attain what they want to achieve or attain. We move on to the next sloka, 29. Subhujo Buddharo Vagmi Mahendro Vasudo Vasu Naika Rupo Bruhat Rupaha Sipivishta Prakasanaha Subhujaha Bhujaha arms. Subhujaha of majestic arms. He, Bhagavan Vishnu, is of majestic arms. For what? Not for grabbing the things in the world, not for pushing the people out, because strong armed people generally do these things. They grab things or they push people away. But here, Bhagavan's arms, Shobhana Bhuja Jagat Rakshakara Asyeti Subhujaha. Jagat Rakshakara. His mighty arms are for protecting the world and the people in the world. His arms are only for protecting others, meaning serving others, meaning helping others, meaning guiding others. That is all it is. Our arms also, meaning our limbs also, all our organs also should be utilized like that. For helping others, guiding others, assisting others. So that is the way how we have to use our arms. That is why it is Subhujaha, majestic arms. Majestic in protecting the world. And he has also said, Subhujaha also means his arms are in the form of blessing to the devotees. He blesses Vardahasta, always, blessings. So he blesses people. He positions himself with his arms in such a way that it is only a blessing for all the people. And also, Abhayahasta. He is not only Varadahasta but Abhayahasta. He makes people feel his protection and feel fearless. Abhayahasta, protection. Not only that, he gives shelter to his devotees. Where can they go when they are confronted with the mighty forces in the nature? He will only protect all. Even from the karmic results, mighty karmic results, he will give the shelter. So his hands, his arms are for protecting people, for blessing people, for giving shelter to people. How nice it is. And making people feel fearless. Our arms also, if at least one aspect in whatever level we practice, then the right purpose of our arms is achieved. Then he will also extend his arms and take us into his own embrace. That is the reason. That's why he is Subhujaha. Then Durtharaha, difficult to be comprehended, difficult to be borne. We cannot bear him. He whom the yogins, the superior sadhakas, desirous of liberation, find it difficult to hold him in their hearts during meditation. They want to hold him, but what happens because of various things, they are not able to hold him. He is not all that easy to be held like that. Because we try to hold him in our heart for some time, something else will come and take him away, and then some other thought, some other desire, some other feeling, something connected with past, present, future, all such things happen in us. That is why it is not easy to focus on him in our mind. Not an easy thing. He cannot be not only comprehended by the intellect, but he cannot be focused by the mind also. Not all that easy. Try how long we can hold him in our heart. If we sit for meditation and hold him in our heart, after some time we will be holding something else. Very strongly, we will not even remember that we have forgotten about God. Like that we are holding. So it is not an easy thing. It is not a simple thing. But by his own grace, because devotees express devotion, he can make it possible. That also. Next, Vagmi. Yato Nishruta Brahmamayi Vat Asmat Vagmi. He from whom proceeds the sacred speech which pertains to Brahman. From whom proceeds the Vak? From him only. All the Brahman Vak came from him only. So, from him only proceeds all that is connected with Brahman. So, that is why he is Vagmi. And not only that, whenever his grace is there upon us, Vagmi's grace, we will also respond to the situations intelligently and aptly and function very wisely while we are using our speech organ. When we use our speech, we will use it aptly. He will make us use it aptly. Otherwise, because of this speech, how many enemies we can create, how many relationships can get broken, how many people can lose their heart, how many people can feel hurt, how many people can really experience misery, all because of our speech. Wars can be fought, groups can be divided, disintegrated, so many things can happen because of our speech. But here, Bhagavan will make us utilize our speech very properly because it proceeds from him. That proceeds from him, so if we are devoted to him, he will make us use it properly. Next, Mahendraha. We have seen the similar words, Surendraha and Suranam Padihi and all that. So, great Indra, the great Indra. He is the Lord of Lords. Devas, one meaning, another meaning Lord of Lords. He is the Lord of splendor, strength and prosperity. Splendor, strength, prosperity. So if we invoke him as Mahendra, he will give us splendor, strength and prosperity. Next, Vasudaha. Vasudhanam dadati Vasudaha. Vasudhanam dadati Vasudaha. The giver of wealth. Who gives wealth? He alone gives wealth. So that is why people approach him for gaining wealth. And he will give whatever type of wealth we want, inner wealth, outer wealth, all wealth he alone gives. And it is also said in the Brother Position, Annado Vasudhanaha. He is the consumer of food and giver of wealth. Meaning, whenever we offer some naivedya to him, he will make us feel that we have given him something. So we feel comfortable because you took something from us, you also give something to us. So when we ask him to also give something to us, then he says, okay, take. Because I have taken, you also take. So what do? We give some food to him and we take a lot of wealth from him. That is what it is. And finally, we only eat that food, of course, but he takes the essence that is there in it. So he makes us feel comfortable in asking him. If without giving anything, if we keep on asking, people will feel uncomfortable. Now, how many times we ask, how long we ask God also. That is why he says, okay, you give me something. As if he doesn't have, so you give. And then you take. So we make God enter into give and take relationship. And we don't keep God also out of our business. We force him to enter into our business. And one Mahatma said, we want God to enter into a deal with us, which no intelligent being enters. What is the deal? You give this much, we will give this much. That is the deal with God. And we want him to enter that deal. And we don't give him choice also. We force him to enter, we decide that he has entered. That's it. Otherwise, we will not be comfortable with God. So we make him enter into the deal. And afterwards, we are very happy. Okay, you are taking, so you are giving. So what? Are we not giving? All these things? That's why you are giving. And we compare him also. So much that you are giving, you are not giving. And God will be surprised, when did I want anything? He is the one who has gained all that has to gain, achieved all that has to achieve. Everything proceeds from him only. But we, for our comfort, make God as a partner in our deal. Contract, we will make him enter into contract. No choice for him. We will only make him enter. And then feel comfort. For our comfort, we make him enter into the contract. And then demand our works. But it works. Because whichever method we apply or employ, all that God wants is we are related to him. Whatever manner we do business with him, so what? He is related to me. At least he is thinking of me. At least he is focusing his mind on me. Doesn't matter. Okay, take it. That also is okay. He will say, okay. That is how everything happens. That is how we can be comfortable. This method, sometimes when wrongly applied, becomes corruption. Is it not? Wrongly applied. It is dharmic. With God it is all dharmic. So sincerely you are giving and asking. And what is God taking? Nothing. Actually, practically. But at other places, what is the practice there? Oh, you are getting this much, so my share is this much. That is all it is. Even when you are getting your due also, what is due to me? To make your due come to you, all that things happen. But that is a wrong way. But here it is a very devoted way of making God respond to them. They will feel comfortable. Otherwise God responds, but they want to do like that. And then another meaning is, he surpasses Kubera in munificence, meaning extremely generous quality. God is so generous, extremely generous, that he surpasses Kubera. Goes on giving things to his people. And Swami Chinmayananda says, loving heart, self-controlled mind, and contemplative intellect. Three things. Loving heart, self-controlled mind, and contemplative intellect give dynamic success and dynamic wealth. Total wealth. In order to gain wealth, we need contemplative intellect, self-controlled mind, loving heart. That's it. Then we will get all the wealth that we could gain. That is why Vasudha. Next, Vasuhu. He is well. He is well. It is the most important thing. We can give what is not belonging to us also, what is belonging to us, what is not us. But the greatness of Bhagavan is Diyamanam Tadvasvami Sat Eveti Vasuhu. The wealth which he gives to others is himself. That is the greatness. We can use so many things. but to give oneself to the other is the ultimate. Meaning to completely place the ego at the feet of the other and to totally allow the other to decide everything that is belonging to oneself. That is totally giving oneself unto the other. This can happen only in love, this can happen only through devotion. Bhagavan, what he does, he gives himself to us. That is why there are many stories in the Puranas where, as a boon, they ask Bhagavan to stay with them, stay in their house, or protect their place, or be inside them. Like that. And he said, okay, because you express so much of devotion, doesn't matter, I can come with you. So he comes, because he gives himself. We give so many things. We also say, I love you, I like you, I miss you, I love you, and all that. Suddenly one small difference, I finish you. That's what it is. Because we have to be only one. Either with you or without you, I have to be one. If you listen to me, with you I am one. If you don't listen to me, I will be only one. You will be finished. That is how it is. Suddenly things will change. Suddenly, all things happen and suddenly things will change. But what happened? You said you gave yourself to me. I took it back. Now that giving is given there, there is no permanent giving. Giving also, taking also. What is that? There is no permanent giving. Giving, taking. So we give so many things, but how much we can give? Only this much. I have heard that there was one, a Bahraini Arab, who was undergoing a very important surgery in Leelavati Hospital in Bombay, Mumbai. Heart transplant. And so he needed some blood urgently. And it was a very peculiar blood group. And it was very difficult to find somebody. But there was, time span was short and they needed fresh blood, not a stored blood. That was very important at that time for that surgery. So when they struggled, finally they came across one Gujarati who said, okay, ready. And he gave it as much as is required, he gave. Then that surgery was done and then he was saved. He went back. Then he sent him, my God, $1 million, diamonds, a brand new Hummer car, and so much of other things. Jewelry, lot of jewelry, he said. And this man was surprised. Here, the Bahraini Arab. And after some time, again he had to undergo some corrective procedure in that operation. Again he was called. Again he gave blood. And after that, this Gujarati was expecting so much again, bountiful. And he sends him one thank you card and one almond halwa sweet packet. Then this man asked, hey, what happened? Why did you do like this? Last time you gave so much. Then that Bahraini Arab says, now there is Guju blood in me. Your blood only is in me. Naturally. So it depends upon attitudes of people. It doesn't mean that somebody is great and all that. That's only an example. So it depends upon our mental makeup. How our mind is. Depending upon that, we offer things to God. But here God, when we express our love and devotion, He offers Himself for us. Nothing is there than Himself, He offers Himself. And there are many occasions even to save devotees, He just rushes without bothering about anything. Because He offers Himself. So can we offer like that in our love, in our affection? Yes, there are people for the sake of the nation, they offer themselves. For a dharmic cause, that is very important. For a righteous cause, dharma should be there, connected to the thing. It should be for a constructive, creative, progressive purpose, not for a destructive purpose, harming people. But it is for creating a very comfortable situation for people. That is why Bhagavan is आच्छादयात्मनः स्वरूपं माययेति वा वसुः. He who veils, vas means to cover. He who veils himself in his illusive power Maya. He covers himself in his illusive power. That is why we are not able to know him. Another meaning is antariksha eva vasati na anyatra iti asadharanena vasanena vayuva vasu. As he lives, vasa means to live. As he lives in the ether, akasha, he lives in the akasha alone and nowhere else. That is why he is named as Vas or Vayu from the peculiarity of his abode. It is said he lives in the akasha. Why? Because akasha is the subtlest graspable thing by us. So akasha is subtlest. Everything is in akasha. Akasha is everywhere. Everything is in akasha. So if this can be related to Bhagavan, we can easily understand the Bhagavan's nature. In spite of everything being in akasha, nothing can contaminate akasha, affect akasha. Akasha is not affected by space. That is why it is. That is why it is compared to Bhagavan. Bhagavan lives like the akasha, in the air. He lives in the subtlest level, like the space and nowhere else. He is in this space, nowhere else. Meaning he is in the subtlest of the subtlest. So because he is like the space, in this space and everywhere, wherever we invoke him, he is available. And we are in him only, in his grace only. And in Kathopanishad also it is said, Vasuranta Riksham Sad, meaning he is Vasu, dwelling in the atmosphere, Antariksha. That is the Upanishad also confirms. And Swami Chinmayananda says, here this can be interpreted in another way also. Not only that one who lives in all things and beings because he is everywhere, one who allows all things and beings to live in himself. He allows everything to live in himself. So that is a nice thing. So he stays everywhere, he is in everything, he is as pervasive as the space, he lives in the space and he lives in himself. To the devotees, pray to him, vice versa. Next, Naikarupaha, of many forms. Ekam rupam asya na vidyata iti Naikarupaha. One who is of infinite forms in his manifestations. He is not of one form, he is of infinite forms. Countless number of forms. And it is also said in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, Indro Mayavihi Pururupa Iyate. The Lord appears manifold by his Maya. How does he appear manifold? Only by his Maya he appears as many. And it is also said, Jyotimsi Vishnu in the Vishnu Purana, meaning he appears as many luminaries. He alone is the all luminaries, the sun, moon, stars, fire, whatever it is. He alone is all these things. He alone appears everywhere. He alone is of many forms. Swami Chinmayananda refers here, Jalam Vishnu Sthalam Vishnu Vishnu Rakasham Uchade Stavaram Jangamam Vishnu Sarvam Vishnumayam Jagat. The whole Jagat is Vishnumayam. Vishnu alone is everything, nothing else. So Jalam Vishnu, water is Vishnu. Sthalam Vishnu, the place also is Vishnu. Water is in a place, the place also, the water also. Water also stands for various other capacities in us to experience things. So, whenever we taste anything, the juiciness alone, the rasatattva alone makes us experience the taste and thereby enjoy. So, water stands for that also. Water also stands for our support because our shape, our form, major content is water only. So, like that, so water also, the earth also is Vishnu. Our support also, our everything also is Vishnu. Vishnu Akasham Uchate. Akasha also is Vishnu. Here also it is said Akasha is Vishnu. Stavaram Jangamam Vishnu. The movable and the immovable. Both are Vishnu. In the world there are only two things, movable things and immovable things. Both are Vishnu. And Sarvam Vishnu Manijaya. So because everything is Vishnu, Vishnu has so many forms. Next, Brihadurupaha, having immense form. Great form, big form, huge form. In order to save that earth from the waters, so Bhagavan took the form of Varaha, in the Varaha Avtara, huge Varaha, and brought this earth back from the deluge of the waters and positioned it safely. So that way he can take any form, he can take the immense form in order to protect his devotees. Next one, Sipi Vistaha, he who is the self of one of the meanings here. Sipi Vistaha. Sipi means sacrificial animal and he dwells in them in the form of sacrifice at the same time. Meaning what? When we are performing the actions in Yajna spirit with a dedicated offerings and these dedicated offerings are poured into all fields of selfless sacrifices, he alone sanctifies all of them. And he will be there to see to it that yajna is done perfectly, and he takes it and he blesses them with the right result. Another thing is, it is also said, sacrifice indeed is Vishnu. Vipno by Vishnu. Vishnu indeed resides in the yajna. And any offering that is made in the yajna, Vishnu alone receives it. In olden days, there were instances where, in order to offer something, they used to have only some cattle as their weapon. So, they used to make the pratima of that cattle and also offer. So, they used to invoke the prani in it before they offer something. So that inner presence as the prana in that offered thing also is Vishnu. He used to be invoked and offered. Offered into what? Into the yajna. So yajna also is Vishnu, that also is Vishnu. So normally we also offer so many things. That which is offered also, the essence of it also, and into which it is offered also. Vishnu alone is there. That is how he is Sipi Vistaha. And one more subtle meaning here is, Sipi means race, which he permeates. He permeates this race. And Si means water having coolness. Saitya is connected with the coolness. And fit to rest on it. So Sete. Sipi means the race, the cosmic race of cosmoplasmic level. When the initial stages of creation, they say it is water, but water is not the stula water. It is the cosmic level of water, where it is in the liquid form. So that subtlest liquid, not his gross liquid. So he is that race of that water, because of which the cosmos came into manifestation, existence. He is the one who is in that subtle format, where from unmanifest things came into manifest, and from that manifest things became many and then expanded. So he is the one who is in that subtle race, cosmic divine race, which become the whole universe. That way also Sipi Vistaha. It also means the Lord of Cosmos who resides in all these rays which form the entire world. Next, Prakashanaha, the illuminator of all. He reveals his form to his devotees. Sarvesham Prakashana Shilatvat Prakashana. He is the illuminator of all experiences. Just as one sun illumines everything in the world, and all the fields of our experiences are illumined by the inner self. Just as one sun illumines everything that is there in the whole world. So one sun illumines everything. The one inner self illumines everything that is there in the whole gamut of our inner experiences. Whatever we do with intellect, mind, memory, ego, whatever thing Whatever thought we think, whatever decision we take, everything is witnessed by Him, illumined by Him, and made valuable by Him, valuable by Him, worthy by Him, and because of this we can pursue, and then we can gain all that we wanted to gain. It so happened that once few people, 3 of them, suddenly had to depart from this world and went and landed in heaven. They went there. And the Lord of the heaven was there. So He greeted them and He was interviewing them. So then what happened? He asked first person, what do you believe? What is your belief? What do you believe? Then that man said, I believe that all people are equal, hence there should be no discrimination. Very good belief you have. Come and sit on my left side. You are sitting on the throne. Come and sit on my left side. Then he looked at the second person and said, what do you believe? What is your belief? Then he said, I believe that there should be no wars, there should be no floods, there should be no famine, there should be no disease. Everyone should live peacefully and happily. Very good belief you have. Come and sit on to my right side. Then he asked the third person, what do you believe? What is your belief? He looked at the God, right side, left side, and God and said, I believe that you are sitting on my throne. Directly unsettling Indra only. I believe that you are sitting on my throne. Because he saw right side is occupied, left side is occupied, only place is throne now. Better. Why sitting his lap, sit on the throne only. So I believe that you are sitting on my throne. If you say to Indra, he may be frightened. But if you say to God, he will not be. Because He alone is there inside us also. He gains through us, He never possesses anything. So He gives Himself to us. That is a very beautiful name. He gives Himself to us. He is that wealth, He gives Himself to us. So He relieves us from everything. Because He gives, that is the capacity. And not only that, when He gives Himself to us, there is no tension, no worry, no anxiety, no stress. Somebody was asked, it was a discussion between two friends. Somebody was asked, what is the difference between stress and tension? And that man said in his own way, wife becomes pregnant, it is stress. Personal lady secretary becomes pregnant, it is tension. Bhagavan relieves us from stress, tension, because He gives Himself to us. And nobody can do that. He alone can do that. So, may we be devoted to His heart so that His presence will be manifested in a way in which we can experience. Shri